Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Well, this content is going to be a little bit different than what I normally produce. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to be doing any takes, any cutting out any bloopers or anything like that. Now I may cut out some dead time, but with all that said, what I am going to be doing is giving a unboxing and initial first impressions of a scope that was sent to me absolutely free. Now I got an email, I was reached out to by a company called CVLIFE with them asking me to review one of their scopes. And what they've sent me is this right here. I have not even opened this box, so everything in this content on this video is going to be unscripted and my first impressions of looking at this scope. Now what this scope is a BearPower 4-16 by 44 first focal plane optic. Now when I spoke to CVLIFE in these emails and going back and forth, I asked them to send me something that would be comparable to some of the other models that I've been doing reviews and torture tests and things like that. And with all that said, CVLIFE sent me this BearPower. So with all that out of the way, I've got this scope for free. No conditions about giving it a good review or a bad review or anything like that. But what we're going to start out with is an initial unboxing that's probably going to be a little bit different than some of the unboxings that are already out there for this product or other ones. And just an initial review of this thing. So with all that said, you know how I do it. Let's get at it. All right, so here we go. Well, initial first take. Had to lower the camera so you guys can see what I'm opening up here. So looking at this was delivered to me in another big box. So this isn't how it was shipped. This whole scope was inside a nicely padded box. And this box itself looks pretty sturdy. I'm gonna give this thing the old, seems like everything is packed in there well. The box itself is sturdy. Now there are no markings on this box other than some nomenclature, probably some numbers they use for warehouse use. Looks like we have a little bit of tape on the bottom here. We're gonna cut through these. And we do have actually, I did not see it, we actually have the model right here. The CVLIFE 4-16 by 44 says new, and it says scope ring. So I do believe this package comes with scope rings. So based upon some other reviews and unboxings that I've watched. So let's get into this thing. Box seals up well. All right. So here is our box. We've got some initial foam here. And grab a camera here for a bit. And this is how the box looks right from the get-go here. It looks like we've got a set of instructions and specifications and things like that. We'll take a closer look at that in a little bit here. All right, we have a pair of scope rings. Now these are, well, I thought these were rigid plastic, but they do almost feel like they may be more of a firm rubber. It's hard to tell here, but we got scope rings. What else we got here? As customary with most optics, looks like we have a lens cleaning cloth. And I'm going to check my fingers on this thing here. And it feels like the same material that you get with just about everything else here. As far as other models. I don't know what's in this little box here. Let's take a peek here. All right, now these are the rings. We'll take a look at those in a little bit here. We'll take another look at them. And the scope. So let me set the camera down for a hot second here so I can use two hands to pull this thing out. All right, with both of my hands free, we've got the optic out. Now, these scopes run for just under the $300 mark. That's what I see the price listed on Amazon or on CVLIFE's webpage. Looks like we have a sunshade. So this optic comes with sunshade. We're going to get this out of the package and try to put it on. It's aluminum, metal. And the scope itself is in a bag. Last review of the box. See what else we've got in here. Got this little guy here. It looks like this is something that you would hook into the optic to increase your leverage on the magnification ring. You got a battery. We got another battery. So we got 2 batteries. Now, hey, that's good. Sometimes you get a scope, it doesn't even come with a single battery. All right, our first impressions of looking at the scope. What I'm going to do is see if this sunshade fits first. We'll see how this goes. Has some fine threads. No issues there. Sunshade fits like it should. Next thing everybody wants to mess around with on these optics are the turrets. So the turret will not turn. Locking turrets on this. That's kind of nice. So both of these kind of a little suction cup sound there. So the turrets lock. That's nice. And to remove these turrets, it looked like they have the slot. You'd use a coin or a small rounded blade screwdriver to get these off, or your battery. But let's unlock these and see how they feel. I can hear the clicks really well. I can feel them. They do feel like they engage, not overly heavy, but it's a pretty firm click. With that locking mechanism, I don't think it would be a problem. So I'm not thinking, if these did not lock, I might be concerned. That turns pretty easy. But with these locks, turrets aren't bad. There is a little bit of movement, but it's not moving a click. And I'm not sure how that'll affect the tracking or the zeroing process. Now, this is an illuminated optic. It has settings from, looks like 1 through 6 for illumination. Let me see. And it does appear, if I can get this to turn here. Is there a battery? No battery in it yet, but it does appear that the illumination has off position between each one. That's a nice feature. We have parallax, or the side focus adjustment, that goes from 15 yards all the way up to infinity and moves smooth and freely, not overly easy and not overly hard. I'm giving this a little bit of a run through. There's O-rings and things inside these scopes with lubricant on them, and generally after a few uses and twists, they do tend to smooth out a little bit. And this one is as well already. It's loosened up just a tad, and it feels better. Magnification. So this one, 4 to 16. Wait a minute here. Maybe I'm losing my mind, but I thought I had something to 14, but up to 16 power. Let's turn this. Again, that's not overly hard. It is smooth. I don't feel any kind of problems with that. Seems to work well. Let's get a battery inside of this thing. And if I can get the battery open here, see how the illumination works. First cut's going to be me getting the battery out. So, cut. All right, I got the battery open. Battery packaging was harder to open than the scope packaging. Let's get this in here. In fact, well, nope, the battery will not fit in the turret cap. Typically with these batteries, you do not want to get your oily fingerprints all over them. It can cause problems, so I just use the lens cloth to wipe the battery off real quick. And let's get the cap on. Again, these caps have small springs. They have little fingers on them that put pressure on the battery. So if you are new to putting these batteries in, this is kind of the customary place for a lot of scopes. You want to make sure, one, you don't cross thread the fine threads, but you want to apply a little bit of pressure on that when the cap starts. So all right, it does seal up well. I can feel that. And let's take a peek through here. And as far as the illumination goes, the center cross on this optic illuminates very bright. That lights up bright. And the rest of the holdovers on the tree here they're illuminating, but not as bright. The illumination is quite well. I'm going to move this around with this ocular adjustment. I haven't checked that out yet. That's nice and smooth, just the same as the magnification on this thing. But I want to try to focus reticle just a little bit here. And see how things look with this magnification, or this illumination. Not bad, the illumination as well. So, you know, first impressions and unboxing of this thing. This is what you would call a budget optic. This is by no means cheap with the price that it's offered for, but it is down in that class with lower price optics, is considering how high these things can be priced these days. But the finish and overall construction, initial appearance of this optic, it's really well made. Now this is a 30 millimeter tube on this, first focal plane, and if you're not sure what that means, as you move your magnification ring, the reticle and the holdovers, the ratios of everything stay the same. Meaning when you put this on a smaller magnification, the reticle is going to get quite fine and thin, and I don't know how thin or fine yet. I'm not looking at this thing outside, but as you increase magnification, it gets larger and easier to actually see that. I don't really feel a need to have to put this little guy on, but we're going to see if it actually fits and goes on where it's supposed to. Appears to be a small threaded hole. Would not be a bad idea to maybe put a little bit of Loctite on that. And it goes in nice and like it should. So there you have it. This is the initial unboxing and review. I'm going to take this thing outside. I'm going to drive down the road. I'm going to look through this glass. I'm going to put a target out there that I used to look at and see how the glass is. I'm not going to mount this up on a rig just yet, but I want to see how the glass clarity is on this. So I'm going to cut the camera and let me get this out there. Well, all right, came back, spent a little bit of time looking through the scope, and initial reviews of the glass are pretty good. I'm going to be dead honest and say I did not expect much from this scope. In fact, for the price and the lack of brand awareness, I didn't expect the initial impressions of this thing to even be as well as they are. And I really did not expect the glass to be clear. I did not expect the magnifier to work as well and smooth and everything as it did. So overall, you know, initial impressions, I don't want to give this thing a full rating or a full scale review until I get this actually out to the range and put these turrets to the test and put this to the test and see how it does with holding a zero, how does it do with recoil and things like that. But initial scope wise, this doesn't look too bad. One holdup that I did notice while off camera, I was looking at the forums and things here a little bit. And the one thing that did catch my eye that is a bit of a hang up that's going to hold this scope back in its class has nothing to do with the mechanics and looking at and how this thing is built. Well, sort of does. And what I'm talking about is the warranty. Now, the warranty is only 1 year on this. And the standard these days for upper echelon, more common than optics, seems to be a unconditional lifetime warranty on optics. But this has a 1 year warranty for a person who purchased this. It does not include loss, theft, or intentional damage, minor blemishes, and things like that. So that is a little bit different than the industry standard for some other brands as far as the optics go. Looking at the rest of the accessories, these caps, did not even put them on. Looks like, let's see, should fit right over this sunshade just as well. That one goes on well. This one goes on well. And these are typical, you know, they are very simplistic. They actually do stay on quite well. A little bit of a test here is, do they pop off when we pop them open? And they stay on well. A little trick is keeping this area clean with some degreaser or isopropyl alcohol or denatured alcohol. Now let's take a look at these rings that it comes with. Again, these are 30 millimeter rings for this tube for a pick rail. And you know, these are not too bad of looking rings. I can't tell you if they're straight or how well they're machined, but construction wise, these don't look too bad. They look really on par with a lot of the ones that you'll see up at your retailers and stuff. They are quite high, and this, you know, this is not a huge size bell on this scope to warrant maybe having rings this high to get this off of a barrel. But a lot of people tend to err on the side of going too high anyway. I guess if they were to send low ones, people wouldn't be able to use them. Going high, they can be used. They do have, I can't tell if it is laser etching or if it's a paint, but they are marked with CVLIFE on the rings. Just the same with the etchings on the OPTIC itself. They appear to be the standard stuff. I can feel them a little bit, so I can't tell if it's an engraved, like a laser etch with a bit of paint or what, but they appear to be kind of how they are in every other OPTIC, and I don't really know what those are a lot of the times. It's marked with nitrogen filled, so it's anti-fog proof with the CVLIFE on it. Well, there you have it. This is part one of the review of this CVLIFE 4-16 by 44 first focal plane BearPower OPTIC. And my first impressions of this are pretty good. I mean, it's got a decent set. It's as far as features, it's feature packed. Do all the features work well, and do they hold up? That is yet to be determined. But as far as just checking it out and as if you were at a store, seems to be well made. The things, see, everything as far as movement is functional like it should be. Make sure I shut this off, and I do like that feature with the Illumination, being able to shut that off between each click. A lot of times we forget to do that, and you got a dead battery, and it's kind of nice that it did come with two of these. All right, with all that said, I'm going to wrap this up. This is your CVLIFE initial unboxing and review of the BearPower 4-16 by 44. Thanks for checking in. Follow along, hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see how this thing does in the field against itself and against some other optics in this same price bracket. With all that said, thanks for checking in.